And so when I'm walking around, sometimes people will call me Chinese or they'll call me Arab, kind of depending on what I'm wearing. Like I can almost guarantee you, if I'm wearing a certain outfit, they'll say, "Oh, the people around they will start calling me Chinese." Like if I walk around.
Is it Chinese clothes? Like
No, I
traditional
think no. I think what I think it is. This is my just my guess. Um, um, like a lot of Asian people I know, they like to keep their skin really covered. So
Mm,
they'll wear like long sleeves, even when it's very hot outside, long sleeves and these hats,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the wide brim hats and like sunglasses and things
Umbrellas.
like that.
Mm.
And so when I wear something like that, I'm more likely to be called Chinese. I'm not kidding. Just really weird, but it's just really this is just how people think. Like, because there's a lack of exposure. It's like
Yeah.
most of the people I know, like in my neighborhood, I kind of got them trained. Like people, they would walk by and they'd stare at me
Hmm.
like I was from outer space, you know? And people would they would be literally afraid. Like I'd be walking by a house and kids are playing in the yard and all over the neighborhood, and then one would see me and then they'd just start crying.
Oh.
Just start crying because
Oh,
I'd never seen a white person before.
oh no. Sorry,
Just kind
I
of
shouldn't be laughing.
I
Oh.
mean it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, but but okay,
Whoa.
so and I could talk about this for a long time, but where am I going with this? Like there's this is just how I see it, and I'm sure other people see it differently, but there's like this set of expectations on about white people. Um, and because I'm white, I'm expected to fill those expectations, whether I do or not.
Mm.
And so few people are willing to know me for who I am and not just what they expect me to be. And as a foreigner in a completely different environment, there's this pressure to conform to the culture around you. And there's this pressure to conform even to the expectations that people have of you in that culture. And there are some things that just don't define who I am, but that's how they define who I am. Um, and so there's this tension between what they expect and what and who I actually am. And that form that it influences my relationships, it influences my work, it influences anything I try to accomplish. So like I get like requests for funding all the time, like all the time. We recorded some songs that um, were authentically Korea with um, live traditional instruments. So most gospel music in Tanzania, a singer kind of has an idea for a song and they go to the studio to record it, and all the music is electronic. And so these songs were different because we recorded the live instruments, the live acoustic instruments. And so nobody had ever done anything like that before. I
Mm.
had done anything like that before. But see, the thing is, like, people listen to the radio a lot. And I see a lot of churches, like I guess anywhere else, but they hear songs from the people who are well known,
Yeah.
and they copy those, and sometimes they change them, and things morph and evolve depending on the location or the abilities of the singers. But like unless you get that kind of stuff out there in the media, nobody's going to know that it's possible, because the Korea, they love their traditional music.
Mm.
And why do we do this? So that people can have a deeper connection with God. I know so many pastors who who preach or they teach or they only speak in Swahili because that's like the church standard. But when they go home or when they speak in their community, they're speaking a completely different language. So why can't you bring that in the church? Or even you meet pastors in an area like English. The English language has high status. It gives you, if a person can speak English, it means that they've been educated. They have the money to have been educated, and they have the opportunity maybe to go abroad because they can speak to somebody who's a foreigner. Because all foreigners speak English. This is part of that identity that foreigners have. So if you can speak English, you get higher status. So you come across pastors and people who like nobody in their community really speaks that much English. you know, they may use it maybe a little bit at work or it's at school or something, but it's not the language that speaks from their heart. But then they'll add like an English language service because they want to be international. Like who are they serving? I don't know. Or like you'll see people when this is really funny for me, but when there's a lot of deliverance ministry, like casting out spirits and demons and like all these sorts of things. And so they'll say like, in the name of Jesus. So they'll say it in Swahili, katika jina la Yesu, katika jina la Yesu. And they'll say it like so many times, and then they'll switch into English. And so then I turned into somebody. I'm like, one time I was in an outdoor crusade, and I turned to the people around me. I'm like, well, do they think that English has more power? You know, like is it maybe if they want us just switch up into another language, why don't they switch into their local languages? Which is another issue entirely, because there's like colonialism and the post-colonial ideas, and like the idea that everything local is less or inferior to everything foreign. This is really strong there too. But like if people are really going to connect with God, they need to connect with God with their whole heart, all of who God has made them to be. God is not interested in your status, really. Like he doesn't care if you speak English and you look really good in the community. What he wants is you for who you are, who he's made you to be. And so by encouraging these local musics and these local art forms, people can connect with God at a deeper level. And it's not I don't want to make this sound like it's exclusive. Like the Korea people only can connect with God through their local language and their local styles. No, it's not. That's not that. We are encouraging local musics to the exclusion of foreign music, because you need that. Like foreign music can bring in another perspective. You know, it can teach people something about God that they didn't know before. What I'm looking for is a whole mix of things, you know, the local and the foreign. And when you have all of that, and it's glorifying God and growing the community. I mean, it's like an ideal I have, which I don't know if it'll ever be realized, but you can know so much more about God and who he is and how much he delights in who you are through all of that at the same time in a church. And maybe that's just my idea. Established Christian church music scene, I guess you could say, in Tanzania. It involves a keyboard usually and electronic instruments, and you got to have a big sound system, and like this is like the standard. But there are people out in the villages who, like, you plant a church and they're like, okay, we need a keyboard, we need a big sound system, and they can wait their entire lives to get those things, because that's just the anticipated, that's just the normal, that's just what the standard is. Whereas they have people in their community who are creative. There are musicians and there are artists and there are other people that could make things that glorify God, that can make things that help people connect closer to God. But they don't see those, or they ignore those because they strive for the standard, even though they may wait their whole lives for a keyboard and they may never get one. Like their village might not even have electricity. They might not even have electricity. So